My wife asked me to let her sleep with other men because she survived cancer. But when I told her no, she started having multiple affairs behind my back. A couple of weeks ago, my wife, Sophia, came to me saying she needed to get something off her chest. I asked her what was wrong, and she said that going through cancer a year ago taught her that life is too short and that she wanted to experience things. I knew what she meant. She always wanted to travel, but we never had the money. I took her hand and told her, we can do it. We can travel the world. I'll find a second job and save every dime I make off it. That will be our travel money. That's really sweet, honey, but that's not what I meant, she replied. It hurt to even ask, but she said, I want to sleep with other men while still being with you. Basically, she pitched me an idea of having an open marriage. I stood still, my world feeling like it had just collapsed. It took me a minute, but I told her I couldn't let her sleep with someone else and stay with her. The betrayal just felt too much to bear. She seemed upset at first, telling me that I was holding her back from experiencing life after what she'd been through. I suggested she take up other hobbies that made her life more fulfilling, and she reluctantly agreed. The next few weeks after she popped the question, her behavior changed. She would come home from the office late a few nights out of the week. When she came home, she would tell me that she was just hanging out with her coworkers or had to stay late to help work on a project. I didn't pay much attention to it at first. One time, though, she came home particularly late in clothes that she hadn't left the house in. Her makeup was done beautifully, and she wore a red dress much like Jessica Rabbit's. She looked really happy as she walked into the house. I asked her why she had changed her outfit from her usual work attire to this elegant dress. She said they had an after-hours work event to boost team morale. I asked her where it was and why she hadn't told me about it. She only answered one of my questions, saying they didn't allow them to bring spouses because the food was on the company's dollar. I let it go, and she went upstairs to prepare for bed. In the following days, she wore her makeup the same way from that night and started wearing more vibrant, fitted work clothes. It was a subtle change, but I knew Sophia. Sophia despised wearing makeup unless it was a special occasion. On weekends, she started putting on makeup and the expensive perfume I had bought her for one of our anniversaries, though she didn't wear it when we went out together. The dates between us became few and far between. It wasn't because I wasn't planning them. Every time I proposed a candlelit dinner or a reading in the park, Sophia said she would be busy or was too tired. Yet later that day, she would leave the house alone. I didn't want to bring up the changes because I thought this was probably what she meant by feeling alive. She was taking care of herself more and dressing up. Who was I to tell her otherwise? Some days, after running errands, she would tell me how a guy in the grocery store hit on her. I was never the jealous type, but she would go on and on about how the guy looked at her. Even at work, she would talk about a certain guy and how smart or great he was at problem solving. When we hosted game nights, Sophia would go on about how cute or funny my male friends were. She seemed to take an interest in them. I debated not having people over anymore, but I didn't want to take away fun experiences from Sophia, especially after what she had been through. I knew I had to talk to her. One day, I made her dinner and brought up her recent changes. I told her I noticed she was coming home late, wearing makeup, dressing better, and talking about more men. I explained how insecure it made me feel in the relationship. She didn't take it well. She accused me of being controlling and insisted she wasn't doing anything wrong. She told me I didn't understand what it was like to face death and said, I'm going to experience this life to the fullest. I apologized for getting her riled up, told her I was just concerned, and said I wanted the best for her. That night, I felt guilty. Sophia was doing exactly what I told her to do, try new hobbies, and here I was telling her to stop. I felt terrible. But then I thought, why was she only sociable with men? The uneasiness ate at me. I didn't confront her, but I couldn't shake the feeling. Things escalated. Sophia came home late more often and sometimes didn't come home at all. She claimed it was work or hanging out with girlfriends. When I asked if I could tag along, she accused me of not trusting her. After a while, I stopped asking. One day, she came home late and asked if we could open our marriage. She said it would make us both happier and set ground rules. I felt my heart break again. I reluctantly agreed, but it destroyed me. 2 months in, I couldn't take it anymore. When she finally came home after being gone for 3 days, I told her I wanted to close the marriage. She agreed, but weeks later, I found out she had been cheating all along, with my high school best friend, Max. I confronted her with her phone in hand. She cried, begged for forgiveness, and said she still loved me, but I knew I had to leave. I packed my things and walked out, leaving her sobbing at the door. Though it hurt, I finally felt a sense of relief, knowing I had made the right decision for my sanity and self-respect.